You're leaking the alpha to the freaks. Matt is letting you know that we came completely unprepared.
There is no list. There is no list this week, freaks.
There's no list, but dude, gold at a new all-time high, $2,091. Pull up the chart, Logan. This is now a gold podcast for Gold Bug. It's ripping.
Gold is a fucking shitcoin. It's trending to zero in terms of Bitcoin. Stay humble and stack sats.
I know, we kid. This is an interesting chart to Logan. If you go to like the 1 hour, that gapped up from like 2060 to 2040 to 20. That gap is very.
You should draw some. Let's draw some lines on it, on the gold chart.
That intraday gap was pretty interesting. Caught my eye earlier this week. Something's going on. Who knows what?
What do you think's going on?
Bank liquidity issues potentially.
Would you say the bank runs are continuing, Marty?
I think they may be about to continue into perpetuity.
Damn.
No, there's rumors. I mean, going over to Europe, there's rumors swirling around UBS having liquidity issues. There was reports of somebody not being able to get their money out last week, and the bank wrote them that their branch was having liquidity issues. People were saying they're not sure if that's real. What we do know is real, though, is that UBS's CEO was at a risk management conference early last week, and he blurted out of nowhere, like, yeah, if somebody were going to buy UBS, I hope it's a private entity. I don't want to get bought by the government. It was just like a weird.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like a weird, never say that. And then there's also rumors swirling that there's a big derivatives contract that's coming due on December 15th that Deutsche Bank and the Bank of Japan are embroiled in that could lead to some liquidity issues. So yeah, bank runs continuing.
What kind of derivative?
I think commodities derivatives. Deutsche Bank, I mean, has been notorious for having an obscene amount of derivatives exposure, like hundreds of trillions of dollars.
Do DLCs fix this?
Potentially, we'll see.
I mean, I think this is just degenerate behavior. I don't know if technical specifics actually fix this.
I don't know either.
I
wonder if it's because of those rumors swirling.
I mean, the underlying fact of the matter is that the overwhelming majority of banks are functionally insolvent right now.
Yes.
So, like, when does the buy the fucking pump program end? When does that need to be renewed?
March of next year.
Which will probably just get renewed.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you look at it, there's not only a run on the banks. I mean, there's a run on the Fed's profitability. EJ Antoni think he really good data.
Imagine if we were wrong and Bitcoin just goes to zero, and then gold just keeps pumping, and we just have a gold standard. Would you be content with that? How would you feel? How would Marty Ben feel?
I think content would be the word. Be pretty peeved that it wasn't Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's superior technologically.
Would you rather live in a fiat standard or a gold standard in that scenario? A gold standard, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what SAFE says at the end of the Bitcoin standard is Bitcoin's only function in the world is to force the hand of the central banks to adopt sounder monetary policy. It is successful.
So would you rather live under a Solana standard or a fiat standard?
Fiat standard.
That's interesting.
You think I want Kyle Samani running a large portion of the world's wealth?
No. But that's a cool thought experiment of not all shitcoins are equal. There's different levels to this shit.
I mean, they're all equally terrible. I guess Bitcoin.
Gold, I mean, you live under a gold standard, but not a Solana standard. So obviously, there's right gold. Do we agree that gold is a shitcoin?
Yes, comparatively to Bitcoin. No, also it's falling back to gold. we have a crazy EMP attack. We're gonna have bigger problems, but we had to develop a gold standard. I'd be happier.
Wait, what did you say about EMP attack?
Yeah.
Marty, you want to walk through this just for a second and imagine the internet goes out for 3 days. Not an EMP. I'm just the internet. Like it just doesn't work. And it comes back on day 4. I don't know. I'm not telling you why it happens, but just 3 days. We don't know why. The internet just goes down. Doesn't fucking work. Power still works. They don't know when it's going to come back on. It just randomly comes back on day 4.
Power still works?
The power is working the whole time, but there's no internet. For 3 days, they never know when it's going to come back on. Banks aren't working. You can't go on Twitter, TikTok. All that shit isn't working. Navigation isn't working. Can't shop on Amazon. Can't stream your favorite movie. Like what is our society doing on day 4 when the internet comes back on?
I think they're celebrating. I don't think things devolve in 3 days.
Oh my God. It'd be straight chaos. It'd be straight chaos.
The power's still on. We're going to be fine.
Okay.
Power goes out. That's a different story.
I mean, but that's why I bring it up, is because you said, I agree with you. If the power goes out, then shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, fuck that. You don't even need that much.
Maybe that's what this world is the internet to go down. Everybody just like walk outside and talk to each other.
Yeah, I think you're too. I don't know. Maybe that'd be nice.
Would be.
I'd love to be proven wrong on that one.
Yeah. Before we get into it, I just want to give a shout out to me. Obviously, you guys noticed got smacked in the face with the stomach bug in the middle of the night. Been puking and doing other things for the last 12 hours. So flu game here.
Is it the new Chinese one?
I don't know. It might be. Maybe that's why gold gapped up too. Maybe that was.
They're like, oh, fresh COVID.
Yeah, fresh COVID. Yeah, but I'm not sure if you heard that. Logan, here you can pull up this picture. I just saw this come across my desk earlier today. Wrong slideshow. But yeah, apparently Marco Rubio and a few other colleagues earlier this morning went to Biden and are essentially begging him to stop travel from China.
We could hear all your typing.
Sorry about that. I'll make sure to mute when I'm typing. Moving forward.
I'm just letting you know. If you're cool with it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Do you support this?
No, it's probably already here. Let's just get it over with. Like, let's do the exact opposite of what we did in COVID. If this is probably nothing. It's probably just some fear-mongering bullshit. Just let the wave of illness wash across the world and get over it in a month.
Yeah, I mean, I think politically, you have no loss supporting this, right?
Well, because of the American-Chinese relationships right now, or?
Oh, because I mean, no one's going to ban travel from China, and if it turns out to be bad, then after the fact, you could be like, oh, I was advocating for us to ban, you all made fun of me, and if it doesn't happen, then everyone will forget about it. In 2 weeks, no one will remember it, or it'll just be extremely prescient. I feel like that's what happened during COVID, right?
Yeah. Maybe this is Marco Rubio's way to get back into the presidential.
We're talking about him. I forgot he existed.
I did too. Very robotic. So there could be another COVID-like illness spreading across the world. I don't plan on falling for this one. Yeah, just even if it is bad, just let it kill me.
They're just going to cut the internet for 3 days, and everyone's just going to go into straight chaos. And then we'll emerge on a gold standard.
We'll see. Gold's pumping right now.
This is just a gold podcast now.
It's a gold podcast. Just kidding. We go over to Clark Moody's dashboard. Bitcoin's pumping too. Well over 38,000. Highest.
What about in gold?
Oh, does he still have those? I don't think he still has those metrics. Yep. Bitcoin priced in gold. 19.1 ounces.
Let's fucking go.
Per Bitcoin. Bitcoin is 5.52% of the overall gold market cap.
200 ounces by conference day.
I like that. I like that.
Let's fucking go.
To 400K by conference day? I like that.
Wait, what is 400K by conference day?
I mean, if we hold prices steady now, 200 ounces would be 400K.
200 ounces by conference day. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. We're currently sitting at 38,685 cuck bucks. Highest it's been, I believe, since early last year. Sats per dollar, one cuck buck's going to get you 2,585 sats. We're sitting at a $756.6 billion market cap. We are at block height 819,324. We had a difficulty adjustment last Sunday. Pretty big adjustment. Maybe we can pause here and talk about what's going on in the mining world. Look, if we go to TFTC, pull up the newsletter I believe I wrote on Monday. But we had an upwards adjustment of 5.1% last week. We are currently 1,188 blocks away from the next adjustment, which is estimated to be on December 9th, 2023. And that's looking like a negative 0.6% adjustment right now. A lot of time between now.
It's going to be positive.
It'll probably be positive.
You want to bet? Let's bet.
No, I don't want to bet. I'm done betting.
Okay, fine.
But yeah, a lot of people. So this marks the 6th consecutive upwards difficulty adjustment since
soon to be 7th.
Soon to be 7th. But Logan, pull up the newsletter from Monday if you can find it. If not, I can find it for you.
Who's turning on these miners?
Not this one?
No, not that one. We can go over that one too. It's a fire newsletter, for being honest. Shout out to me.
Stay humble, Marty. It was fine.
This one?
Yeah.
Difficulty?
Yeah.
I have to say, by the way, your Thanksgiving Day AI generated art was quality.
Thank you.
You're becoming a prompt. You can start putting prompt on your CV. You know,
I'm
a prompt specialist.
I'm becoming a good prompty.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, this is pretty crazy. I'm not sure if you caught this because I know you're busy this week, but since September 6th of this year, which is when we had the last downward difficulty adjustment, hash rate has increased by 27% overall as of the time of recording this.
Some bullish fucking energy right there, man.
Yeah, think about it. So like what took 14 years and 8 months to get from zero to that point, it took less than 3 months to go from that point to more than a quarter of the overall hash rate that developed over the first 14 years and 8 months of Bitcoin's history. There's a lot of hash rate coming on the network.
Well, you know what happened, right?
If you go down,
it's like pretty obvious.
If you go down, here are the reasons.
There was 6 months of me saying mempools will never clear again that precipitated this. I created FOMO among nation states.
Yeah, look and go up. We'll start with what you don't have to go down to like the end of summer. So like what I think is driving this hash rate growth is multifaceted. Obviously, keep going down, Logan. We've had the end of summer, particularly here in Texas, where a lot of miners were engaged in demand response. So there was a lot of intraday hash rate volatility down here in Texas. End of summer comes, weather cools off, miners are not forced to participate in demand response. So it brings out that intraday hash rate volatility. So that's definitely a contributing factor to why hash rate's going up. You have miners in Texas and other parts of the world that are engaging in demand response, staying on 24/7. Obviously, the Bitcoin price and the fee markets have been bullish over the last few months. And so that has driven hash price up from a low of around 6 cents. It's hovering at around 7.5 cents right now, I believe, and it reached as high as like 9.5 cents at some point a few weeks ago. So the price rise, as the hash price rises, more importantly, older generation models that maybe weren't unprofitable suddenly become profitable. They can turn on, start mining to reap the benefits of that windfall of profitability. If you keep going down, Logan, newer miners are getting plugged in. So you have S19 XPs probably are driving a lot of the overall hash rate growth. And I know MicroBT is selling a lot to Russia, so their top of the line machines, either the M50s or the M30S pluses, are getting plugged in right now. And then on top of that, I know there's a lot of S19XP inventory out there. We've talked about this in the past, but it's likely that Bitmain it doesn't want that inventory to sit idly and is actually plugging in and mining with it to get revenue before they flip them on to customers. And then we have the S21 series coming to market at the beginning of next year. Who knows if Bitmain already has their hands on those and is hashing with those as well. And then lastly, the point, and I think is another point I think is driving hash rate as nation states are mining. It's becoming abundantly clear that Russia is sort of aping in to the mining game. Obviously, we had the King of Bhutan say they were going to expand hash rate by 500 megawatts over the course of the next year, earlier this year. And then Oman made a $1.1 billion investment in a miner down there. And then,
wait, just to put that into perspective, 500 megawatts. Preston had a really good example of that. I thought like really hit home with me, that like it never fully clicked until I heard it, which was a sports stadium at night is 1 megawatt. So this 500 megawatts worth of capacity is the equivalent of 500 sports stadiums at night worth of infrastructure. That's fucking crazy. And that's just one country publicly telling us.
That's total electricity generation, like the equivalent of 500 football fields. However, like the footprint of the 500 megawatts consumed by miners is much smaller, especially with these
of course. Yeah.
Like the S21 series, like in a 1 megawatt, excuse me, the 10 megawatt build with S21s, which you can fit in like a 40-foot container. That'll produce, like, I believe, above 1 exahash of hash rate in one little container.
It's like fucking crazy, dude. It's like the human brain cannot comprehend it, I guess is my point. Like we use these little techniques to make it easier to comprehend, but we can't fully comprehend it, the magnitude.
Yeah, long story short is ASICs over time have become extremely energy efficient and high power. Like the amount of
and
energy is insane.
And Bitcoin's designed to pump forever, and mempools will never clear again. And the result is hash rate fucking straight mooning. It's that hash rate chart is fucking insane.
Look, go to mempool.space and just pull up like the all-time hash rate chart, because it is insane to look at when you actually zoom out.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
I'm not on here enough.
Just that piece of Bitcoin alone. Press the
next to the barometer.
On the top.
Next to what?
The barometer. You click the right button. I'll go to the hash rate. God damn it, Logan.
No, he should be in the chart. No, he's correct.
Good.
Now go to mining, go to hash rate on the drop down. There we go.
Go out to all.
Now do all. That's so stupid. That's fucking amazing. Holy shit. So that, by the way, guys, if you see that big drop off, that was when China banned mining fucking 2 years ago.
Yeah, we are.
That was only 2 years ago.
Yeah, we are more than double what the hash rate was before that, or almost triple the hash rate.
That was only 100 rabbit hole recaps ago.
It's insane.
It fell in by half.
Yeah.
And now it's up by a lot more than that. I don't do math.
Logan, do they have a log view of this chart?
Yeah, it says log on the bottom, or on the. It says log somewhere.
I don't think it does. It does not.
I thought it did. Well, anyway, it's still ridiculous, even as log.
Yeah, and I guess even though we don't have a list, I'm pretty sure we're both in agreement that the big news of this week is the emergence of a couple of mining pools. While we're talking about hash rate, it probably makes sense to talk about what's going on here. Bullish developments in the space. Alejandro de Torre, formerly of F2 Pool, launched his own pool, Demand, DMND, which is leveraging Stratum V2. So that end
That's
users.
a brand new pool, right?
Yeah. So we've got that pool that launched, and then
We had 2 brand new pools open this week.
Yeah, and then Ocean Pool, formerly Allegius, spun up by Luke Dasher many years ago. I think over a decade ago now. At this point, brought it back to life. And the intention of both these pools is to help mitigate decentralization pressure that exists at the mining pool layer.
And who's his co-founder for the relaunch?
Mark, forget his last name. I know.
Well, Mark and Luke relaunched Allegius. Allegius was, I believe, the first mining pool.
No, I think Slush had the first mining pool. It was like XMN or something like that before it was Slush Pool.
Yeah, well, it was one of the first. It was also the first mining pool to ever censor transactions. Luke, if I recall correctly, Luke was blocking payments to known gambling addresses.
What is your take on that? The emergence of these 2 pools?
I love seeing pool competition. I want to see more pool competition. The pool space has been a little bit stagnant for a little bit. I mean, but at the same time, I think, like, really, has it? Like, we just looked at the chart, right? 2 years ago, 50% of the hash fucking dropped off a cliff out of China, and Foundry wasn't the largest mining pool yet. And all of that shit has happened in the last 2 years. We had like none of these publicly traded miners. So the mining space has just been absolutely insane, the pace it's moved at. And I do think this is like the next evolution. The next evolution is let's rethink that pool relationship with miners. Maybe Stratum V2 has a place there, specifically the block construction element of it. Obviously, like it being more secure and more efficient is going to be adopted by miners regardless. But the question of individual miners actually constructing block templates, and I would like to see more. Yeah, I think there'll be more innovation and more evolution here, and I think I mean we're hearing a lot of talk behind the scenes about other initiatives that are happening on the pool side. So I'm pretty excited about all these things unfolding. I will say, it seems like their heart is in the right place, and it's a good cause. And I'm excited for the guys over at Ocean and everyone who's involved in that project. But I do think in the announcement, like be careful, like when things are too hypey, I feel like you do a disservice to the movement. I don't know how official the claims were that it was like a decentralized mining pool. Like it's not a decentralized mining pool. It just isn't. So just like with the claims, I would just be wary of claims, of being too hypey on claims, and just ship good product that miners want to use, and you will have a successful mining pool.
I'll push back a little bit. I mean, it is more decentralized. I mean, both demand and Ocean, but focusing in on Ocean particularly, I think the creative thing, what they're doing, which I think is a good design choice, is paying individual miners out from the Coinbase transaction, which does reduce centralization risk of managing a mining pool treasury.
It deals with custodial risk, but it's not decentralized, and it's how pools originally worked. But yeah, I like that aspect, and the unsolved component of that is small hashers, and that remains to be solved. I mean, the Ocean announcement seems to point to certain things, and I mean, we know certain non-public things about that deal, but about that project, but they have a potential solution in the works that they haven't formally announced yet. They basically said we're going to be using Lightning to do it. Is their public response to that question? But that has always been the biggest issue with these mining pools that pay you out directly from the Coinbase, is that if you're a smaller hasher, your rewards aren't large enough to be a fee-paying UTXO in the future. So you end up with dust rewards, and so the solution that is inherent here is that you wait like a year to get paid, or a year and a half to get paid. And in practice, what happens really is hash rate keeps mooning and you just never get paid. Like most of these small hashers will just like, they'll hash for 13 months, 14 months. They'll just never get paid. The fucking thing will go obsolete. And like, that will be that, unless there's a solution here. And there's a bunch of teams working on a solution, including Ocean. So we're kind of seeing the result with Lightning, right? With Lightning messaging. I feel like Lightning messaging was overhyped. And as a result, people feel like they feel disappointed. We have people that should know better being amazed that they have to pay an on-chain transaction in a high fee environment, right? And that's because like the messaging was done in a pure hype fashion, and then you just end up doing more work on the back end. And I feel like it's the same case here. Like the real story with Ocean is a long-term Bitcoin contributor, Luke, and a long-term Bitcoin pool operator in Luke, right? Like Eligius is a long-term pool that doesn't like that there's been massive regulatory overreach in the pool sector, has relaunched and wants to provide competition to the market. That's exciting. Like there's no, you don't have to go further than that really, right? And they have a self-custody first focus, right? But meanwhile, they found their first block, which was very lucky. Yeah, it was very like luck, the technical term of luck in Bitcoin mining, where it happened way sooner than expected. And they fuck something up, and they have custody of the reward, so they have to wait 100 blocks for it to mature, and then they're going to pay it out to the miners appropriately.
Yeah. That's the way the Coinbase works, though, right? Like you mine the block, and then you like the Coinbase isn't released for 100 blocks after anyway.
Yeah, but it didn't work right.
So they're really a wallet they control, and then
they just got paid. The individual miners didn't all get paid, supposedly.
Yeah.
So there's another manual step afterwards to actually pay them out.
Yeah.
It's early days.
Early days. Exciting stuff. Congrats to everybody involved. Congrats to Alejandro as well.
And yeah, I haven't looked into the Alejandro announcement, but it just goes to this trend, right? Like, let's see more innovation on the mining pool side. I don't think Stratum V2 is an end-all be-all. I think there's a lot of room for innovation. It is obviously, a unsolved coordination problem in terms of miners working together to reduce their variance, which is why they use a mining pool, without exposing themselves to regulatory pressure. Because right now, like, they're very exposed to regulatory pressure on the pool level.
Yeah.
But I just want to, like, on top of all this, there's a controversy on the Ocean side that it seems like they're going to be censoring inscriptions. And I would just say, like, it would be nice to see a mining pool whose mandate was simply highest fees possible. Like, we will just construct this block with the best fees we can possibly get you as a miner. And if there was just a mining pool that was purely, strictly focused on that, and had very low, if not no fees, would fucking destroy. I think that's what most miners want. They just want to make as much money as possible. It's purely objective. Everyone can argue forever about which transactions they think should be included and which transactions that shouldn't be included. It's a fucking massive slippery slope. And there should be a pool that has just and OFAC's going to come in, and regulators are going to come in. They're going to say, don't include this transaction, don't include that transaction. Marty sent out a tweet the other day that we didn't like, don't include his transaction. And it's a fucking slippery slope all the way down. Like, it should just, there's no need for there ever to be a slippery slope introduced. We are simple mining pool. We mine the most profitable transactions there are to mine, period. No debate.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to spin that up anonymously, I think.
What?
That pool
No, I think there's still alternatives there that haven't been. I think me and you both know of one that haven't really been explored yet, right?
Yeah, agreed. While we're on the mining tip too, interesting development this week that I'm sure you all were aware, I don't think we talked about it last week, but last week, Ampool mined a block with an 83 Bitcoin fee transaction included in it, and has become apparent that was involved in a theft. So somebody stole 139 Bitcoin from somebody and then paid an $83 fee just to ensure
83 Bitcoin fee.
83 Bitcoin fee. What did I say, sats?
Dollars.
Yeah. They paid an 83 Bitcoin fee to make sure they got mined. It got mined by Ampool.
It was a 55 Bitcoin transaction with an 83 Bitcoin fee. And the whole thing was supposedly a cold wallet compromise.
Yeah. And this is interesting because we talked a couple months ago when Paxos, on behalf of PayPal, paid a $500,000 fee. And that was obviously a big mistake. They went to the pool. I forget what it was. It might have been F2
Wang
pool.
Chung. It was F2 pool.
Yeah, and said, hey, we obviously made a mistake. Can you send it back? They sent it back. This is a unique instance because the attacker successfully got access to the private keys of an individual, paid a fat fee just to ensure that he got some Bitcoin.
Well, I think there was a little bit of a fee raise between. So my guess, and we don't have full details here, is my guess is this was a low entropy, not proper randomness private key generation. And when that happens, there can be multiple actors that are basically checking these insecure wallets, right? Wallets that don't have the proper amount of randomness to them, so they're not secure when they are generated at first generation. They can be generated offline, but like if they don't have appropriate amounts of randomness, those private keys will be known by attackers. They'll be actively watching them and they'll be trying to sweep them. So my understanding is that there was like an RBF race that happened to a degree where like two parties were trying to get the transaction confirmed, and the fee was higher. But regardless, this is the story. Ampool has come out. Ampool does not have to give this feedback if they don't want to. And actually, the way Ampool's set up is they don't have to provide this feed to their miners if they don't want to either, because they're paid out. Miners are paid out on like an average basis is the way their setup is. So miners don't have to take the risk of variance or fee variance. But Ampool said they will pay it back. But this is what's interesting, Marty, is if this was a bad entropy compromised wallet, Ampool says sign a message with the wallet to prove that you owned it. All the attackers can do that too. So really what Ampool needs to do is have someone sign a message with the address that paid that one first. Because the whole official story is that the guy sent it to this new wallet and it immediately got swept. So that private key can't be used for proving messages. Otherwise, like if it was poor entropy, it's like any of us can fucking be the one signing the message.
Yeah. And it's really insane. And just think about like the social incentives here. Like the attacker is more than happy. Like he found access to a wallet with 139 Bitcoin and it was more than happy to pay an 83.5 Bitcoin fee just to get 55 Bitcoin. Like he makes out. He's got his 55 Bitcoin. It's at this point very deep in the chain. So he's likely going to keep those or her. And then, yeah, you get into the social recovery process, like how does the attackee recover the 83 Bitcoin himself? But that's a big hit. More than 30% of that stack gone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Ocean made an interesting tweet where they were like, in our situation, we would have just paid out the miners directly from the Coinbase. Like we wouldn't even have the option to pay it back. No. But then again, they did mine a block that wasn't the case.
So there was that one.
They could send that one back. Yeah. But they made the point that like it should be up to the individual miners, not the pool operator.
Yeah, and Ampool's probably all Chinese miners who don't give a fuck.
I don't know. Like in this case, I sympathize more. Obviously, like if the person actually got hacked and compromised, like Ampool has done very well for themselves. They're doing great. It's good. I think it's good measure to pay it back.
I do.
Unlike the Paxos thing, it's like, fuck you, man. Expensive lesson. But yeah, I don't think any miner should be required to pay it back. It just enters too much risk into the system.
That's one way to view it, but another way to view it is like, hey, this is actually like a weird social layer of Bitcoin where somebody makes an obvious mistake. Obviously, there'll be a negotiation process, but if you're the one who's attacked, it is a nice to have, right?
What do you mean?
The ability to go to the pool, sign a message, say like, this was obviously me, like I fucked up, and have a negotiation process. Like, please give me my Bitcoin back.
Dude, I don't know. I think like all this shit, man, it just overcomplicates everything, right? It's just like my dream, like Bitcoin at scale. My dream Bitcoin at scale is like 80% of the hash is like pirate miners. You don't even know who to ask to get your money back. It's like I think I think this current situation is like an unrelated symptom of our early stages in Bitcoin mining maturity, right? Where you have like Wang Chun, just like fucking dictator of F2 pool, right? He's got like 20% of the hash, just like tweeting out like, oh, of course I'll pay you back. Let me know. You have 10 days. Like that's ridiculous. Like a global financial network. I just don't like, I think it's just very early.
Agreed.
You fuck up a fee in 6 years, 7 years, like it should be less than 5% chance you get paid back that fee. It's like you just learned a very fucking expensive lesson.
Yes. Beware, freaks. Beware. Make sure you're checking your fees. Make sure you're checking your setups. Make sure, like, again, people are pretty certain that this was an entropy fuck up. So if you're adding your own entropy, make sure you do that sufficiently. Just do like 200.
I mean, yeah, it's a fucking dangerous. Like people don't realize this shit, man. If you want to roll it yourself, like that responsibility is on you to generate sufficient randomness.
Yeah. I'm going to pull up here. Saylor just increased his stack by more than 10%.
Who cares?
16,130 Bitcoin.
So this was a bigger amount than he usually does.
Yeah.
Because he sold more stock or something.
Yeah. It's a lot he's approaching 1% of the overall supply.
It's impressive, man.
It's impressive.
Impressive level of degeneracy.
Isn't that degenerate though? I mean,
he's. I mean,
they're being rewarded. They're being compensated for it in terms of stock valuation.
I mean, but he made it so like his life's work, right? MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin holding company. Like they will ride or die on what happens to Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, I guess same with me, but
yeah, what's the difference?
I think that there's definitely
you don't have 1% of the total supply.
Yeah, but if we're like 90, if like our families are all in Bitcoin, like I think there's a level of degeneracy there too, right?
Yeah.
Like you're a bit of a crazy person. If you're younger, it's a little bit less crazy, right?
Yeah.
If you're older, it's a little bit more crazy.
That's what all of our gold boomers are telling us. Like the volatility is too much. I'm just going to hold on some gold, some Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's not truly a degenerate until he sells his yachts for Bitcoin, right? Like if you have 7 yachts, like that's a pretty good cushion. I feel like if Bitcoin goes to 0, you can like sell 6 of the yachts and live on 1 yacht and you're still like solid.
Yeah, but that's a degenerate act. 7 yachts. How much maintenance is that? Why do you need 7?
Yeah. Yeah, as long as he has more than 2 yachts, like he can't call himself all in, right?
I just want to notice, T West, I respect that you noticed. You can tell I'm all in because I'm standing up. I don't have any chairs. We sold all of them.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's a good point. No one like Saylor's actually like an incredibly responsible, conservative investor that is like really not very exposed to Bitcoin. Like he still has 7 yachts.
Yeah. He's diversified. Fall back to the yachts. What else do we have here? I think Bitcoin wise, what did I write about this week?
There was Primal had a massive software release today on iOS.
I saw that.
That includes a full Lightning wallet powered by Strike. And I think this is a massive release. I think this is a massive release in terms of mainstream Nostr adoption. It makes it really easy to just use Nostr and have a Bitcoin wallet built in. I think it's a big deal for Bitcoin adoption. And it's using Strike's new developer tools, basically. So any app developer can go out there and integrate a fully function Bitcoin wallet from Apple Pay all the way to Bitcoin, right? So and the end user does not have Bitcoin. They install Primal. They get this fully functioning wallet. And then they just add funds directly from Apple Pay. And this is a key part of it, unfortunately, because you have to ask Tim Apple permission to use iPhones. Apple gets a 30% cut when you buy Bitcoin through that method. And that's the way of Primal kind of satiating Apple's desire for their 30% in-app purchases that has blocked Damus from having Zaps in their Nostr client.
It's pretty egregious.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
It is the easiest way I ever bought Bitcoin. Like in terms of UX, it's like, oh, how many cents do you want to buy? Like Apple Pay, boom.
But keep in mind, you're getting a functioning Lightning wallet in this process, and you can just deposit Sats in and not pay Apple its 30%.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll just be enough to satiate Apple. And then you can always use Android if you want instead, or web.
Beware, freaks. Beware. I'm sort of hitting the wall. I can feel my body breaking down again.
We're with you, Marty.
Yeah. I know I got pretty impassioned on Tuesday night. Wrote this newsletter. People are criminals. What really drove me to write this newsletter is if you go down, the suicide stats down there, lower. Pull up this tweet. It is pretty insane. It's like 2022 in the U.S. was the highest suicide rate since I believe 1941, which is pretty insane. Aggressively attacking or affecting males, particularly.
Do you have this in log?
I do not.
I'm sorry, it was a bad joke.
Yeah, and when you consider, and there was another thing that happened this week too. That I'm not sure.
Why did it go down so much? Was just life good?
The 90s, dude. The 90s were booming.
Yeah, it peaks first. It's interesting. It peaks first. Look at the male one. It's the most distinct. It peaks first and then drops all the way down.
Yeah, I think you had, so that'd be like the going up in the late 70s into the 80s. I mean, last time we had pretty significant economic turmoil, and obviously it inflects at the turn of the century. It goes up during the great financial crisis, and now, like post-COVID, all the economic stress out there, suicides have gone up, and then on top of that, like other deaths of despair, drug overdoses, alcoholism. It's bad out there. It's tough out there for people.
I didn't realize. So, like, females way lower. It's mostly male suicides.
Yeah, males are historically more prone to committing suicide.
And, like, I guess we just kill ourselves, like, during economic downturns for the most part, right?
It's supposed to be the providers.
It's like economic downturn. Everyone jumps out of windows and just like, fuck, I can't provide for my family. And then
Yeah.
Good times it goes down, and then very cyclical.
Yeah. No, this newsletter stemmed from like seeing this tweet, and then a lot of this talk in the space these days about regulatory clarity. Obviously, ETF on the horizon. No, I don't think we should negotiate with terrorists. That is the federal government. People are criminals. They've run the debt up. Hey, I recorded a really good episode with Peter St. Onge that we dropped on Tuesday, and he really dove into the fact that government spending is what leads to inflation. Like, that is the core problem that leads to inflation. And the government, Logan, go to my profile and pull up my latest tweet. Biden come out this morning trying to browbeat the rich, and then he came out yesterday and tried to browbeat industry for not lowering prices. And this is another thing too, as it pertains to Bitcoin. This news came out of Japan.
Yeah, what the fuck is with this? Is this just fake news? It can't be real, right?
Not 100% real. So, Logan, what are the responses? It's still bad. So this flew around this morning. Japanese tax agency is going to levy 110% inheritance tax on Bitcoin if you die
like
with Bitcoin.
More than your inheritance.
Yeah, like your kids are going to have to pay 10%. That was a rumor, but Logan, if you go to the responses of my tweet, somebody hopped in there with better data, which is, let me see, find it. That one, Tour's tweet. Essentially, it's not 110%, it's 55%. So if you hold Bitcoin in Japan.
So that's completely different.
Completely different, but still egregious. 55% is pretty insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have Biden here. We're going to tax all the billionaires, just 25%.
Well, the real genius about a wealth tax is you can make the wealth limit high, right? So like right now, like the wealth tax is I believe like $13 million per person inheritance tax. Like it only kicks in if you're giving $13 million worth of inheritance. And so like that doesn't impact the majority of people, right? So the majority of people are like, oh yeah, fuck the rich, right? Like, oh, there's 2% of people that this applies to. Like those 2% of people are against it. Like maybe they have 15% allies or whatever, but like you're still against like 80% of the population. But because there's that exists, you have a mandate to surveil everyone fully. Because if you don't have full surveillance over those people, maybe they're over the threshold. Maybe you don't fucking know. And it's this beautiful fucking dystopian control tool, right? Where they not only end up like government makes a shit ton of money because they're double taxing you. They tax you throughout your whole entire life, and then when you die, they take an additional piece before it goes to your family. Not only do they get that additional revenue stream, they also get a mandate to do full and total financial surveillance on everyone. And if you go around that financial surveillance, you are considered a tax cheat and a criminal. They criminalize you. And there's broad support for it because, once again, they'll be like, it only applies to 2% of people.
Yeah. Pretty nefarious. Divide and conquer. And Biden had another tweet that he sent out yesterday. It was trying to divide and conquer, like saying, hey, we brought inflation down. It's time for businesses to bring their prices down, stop gouging people, which is astonishing considering the fact that it's like literally mechanically not even true. Like, yes, you brought the rate of inflation down, but prices are still rising.
Inflation isn't down.
Inflation is still positive.
Yeah.
Another thing, though, actually, happy I remember this. PSA, Google is going to begin deleting inactive accounts along with their content, photos, Gmail messages, calendar appointments, Drive documents, contacts. If you have old accounts you might need to access in the future, whether that be for transaction history, these could become inaccessible. So like if you're a Bitcoiner that has a burner Gmail account to do some accounting for some stuff and you haven't touched it in years. Not that you should do that, but if you are doing that.
I lost my Bitcoin in a tragic Gmail accident. My private key was in G Drive and they deleted it.
Yeah.
That sucks. I got to start the stack fresh. When do they start deleting accounts?
Today.
Fuck. I'm too late.
So if you want to avoid this, go sign in.
It's this is an unsolved problem. How to deal with dead people accounts and in general inactive accounts. And I side with, big government side is says data retention over everything.
You side with big.
No, I mean, I don't know. I think the incentives are set up that most people will keep, like most companies will keep this data, right? Google's not going to delete data that's not valuable to them. Google's only deleting data that's not valuable to them. A lot of this data is probably valuable to them. They'll keep it. Governments obviously want this data kept so they can track more people. So you end up in a situation where like the user gets fucked because like they delete your inactive account, but the user's not getting additional privacy from it because Google like probably deletes your account on the front end so you can't access it, but they like keep whatever intimate details they need of you to keep selling your ads and shit. So you're not actually getting any benefit out of it on that front. But I would like to see like companies that a value add of their product is they care about your privacy. So they have a very strong inactive user policy where they are routinely like actually wipe, and you have to trust them, but they're actually wiping shit. But yeah, I mean, it's also, if you forget about all that issue, like the surveillance side, like it's a real problem. Like people die. And it's like family members want access to accounts and stuff. And it becomes a whole bureaucratic mess. Like there's no easy way for these companies to handle it. Unsolved problem.
Final message.
And we closed it. It's an unsolved problem.
I was actually thinking about final message this morning. Let me bring it back.
Yeah, I just think there's better solutions. There's better potential solutions now than like just a fully centralized email service that sends out an encrypted payload. I mean, I think there's something there probably with Nostr and multisig. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, it's an unsolved problem on Bitcoin side in terms of inheritance, because because your heirs are should be a part of your threat model, and you have to deal with them potentially taking your money or being pressured to take your money. So we'll figure these things out. It's all still very early.
It's still early. One other thing. Do you have anything you want to touch on?
No, I got nothing. I'm looking at no bullshit.
Logan, pull up the tweet.
The Africa Bitcoin conference is going on right now. Shout out to them and everyone over there. The live stream is on YouTube and on nobullshitbitcoin.com.
Logan, just play like 2 minutes of this, not even like a minute of this video. This is pretty insane that this is going on in our country right now.
Sorry, we've already had done that at great length.
Well, I think this deserves some commentary, given the nature of the nominee, and I'd like to ask to speak on the nomination.
Senator, we've debated these two nominees twice.
Mr. Chairman, I would also like to speak on the nomination.
I understand what you'd like to do, but I'm saying that in fairness, we have debated these nominees twice, and I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you're denying us an opportunity to speak on a nominee?
Man. I mean,
third time, no.
Okay, do this.
We don't have a right to speak under the rules?
Under the third time, I'd say no.
So you're just going to make it up?
Yeah.
I'd like to
There's going to be a lot of consequences coming here.
I'd like to speak too, Mr.
You're going to have a lot of consequences coming if you go down this road.
You better
I've cautioned you. I've cautioned a lot of you.
The clerk will call the roll.
Listen to me. I've cautioned a lot of you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
What the fuck is going on there?
So essentially, there are another hearing for the two prospective Supreme Court justices that are up to be voted on. They've debated and questioned them twice already. And
wait, there's a Supreme Court slot?
Yeah, I think there's two.
Is this still the RBG slot?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it was a Senate Judiciary Committee, and I guess the Democrats have majority, and so they run the actual meetings. They just completely were like, no, we're not talking about this. We're going to vote. Then you could see the Republicans saying, hey, don't go down this road. So this is an example of something we've talked about in the past with executive orders, where it seems like the Democrats in this particular committee are abusing their power to shut up the Republicans. And it will be used against them in the future, and just highlights the clown world nature of our federal government. These are the people who want to tell you what to do with your Bitcoin, where you can buy it, how you can hold it, who you can send it to, how much it's taxed. A complete banana republic.
I don't know. It's I do wonder sometimes if, and like my opinion doesn't fucking matter. I do wonder, especially on this. I wonder sometimes, like, if it was a mistake having Supreme Court justices having life terms. It makes them particularly valuable. And for that reason, at this point, like, I find it hard to blame either party for pulling out every loophole and every stop in the book to try and get their team member into the court. The incentive is just like, you got to follow the incentives. It's like, you try and play the higher card. You're like, oh, I want to play it by the book or whatever. And then, like, you have to deal with the repercussions for 50 fucking years until the person dies. Like, so it's become very high stakes. And I think we just didn't expect people to live that long.
Yeah, maybe our system's antiquated.
Because it goes both ways, right? It's like, you look at Congress and you're like, fuck, they run for re-election way too often, to the point where it's just like they're constantly running for re-election, which breaks the incentive. So, like, you can see from that point of view, you're like, oh, like, these are our most important Supreme Court justices. Like, they should be completely immune from the re-election cycle bullshit. But then it's like, okay, but like, also, like, one person shouldn't be there for fucking 60 years. This is a fuck. There's no solutions, only trade-offs.
Bitcoin's the solution. I don't know.
What's trade-offs? Right.
Clown World's heating up. Should never have called Pete Clown World 2 years ago. Here we are, into 2023. Keeps going up. I've got the top
Mandibles.
4 from Rabbit Hole Recap 280, Thanksgiving Day special, at Nat Gas Immersion, 111,000, 111 sats, ones across the board, palindrome boost. So grateful for you two. By you two, I mean you and your lady, Odell. Marty, I don't care what everyone else says. I think you're all right, Mike. Thanks, Mike.
Cheers.
Appreciate you, Mike. At Eric99, 100,001 sats, palindrome boost, stay humble, stack sats.
Great advice.
Our good friend Cum Rocket coming in at number 3 with 42,069 sats.
Cum Rocket.
Nice. Grand Rapids Bitcoin meetup is Wednesday, December 27th, 2023 at the Factory on 77 Monroe Center Street, Northwest Suite 300 in Grand Rapids, Michigan from 6 to 9. The Grand Rapids Bitcoin meetup is held every month to allow us to gather locally in a physical meetup space where we can have one-on-one conversations about Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related topics. It also allows us to host presentations or informative discussions on particular topics relating to Bitcoin. All are welcome, including newbies, developers, and everyone in between. Boost bid for ants. Your low boost this week at Blockchain Bug, 5,000 sats. Clapping emojis.
Thank you, freaks. We appreciate the support.
This was my flu game. I am feeling absolutely terrible right now. I exerted a lot of energy, and I need to go lay down. I'm sorry, freaks. I'm sorry, Matt.
Before we wrap, I wanted to shout out everyone who joined us in the Noster live stream, which you can find at rhr.tv/stream, and zapped us live on air. I see Milan from Primal sent us 21,000 sats.
Thank you, Milan.
And I'm like I just like fucked it up. I was going to give a bunch of people shout outs. I see a bunch of you have zapped the show and participated in that live chat, and that's great to see. Thank you guys.
Shout out to that Anon who just did 21,000 sats. Shout out to Paulie, excuse me, 10
Thank
sats,
you.
1,000 sats.
I like lost the window.
I got it. Ethan Tuttle, 1,000 sats.
Ride or die.
Little Spoon, 2.1. Shotgun to DGen Chad. Shout out to DGen Chad, Michael Saylor.
And shout out to Kieran and Carnage for zapped out stream that makes it possible, which is fucking awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Marty, Yellow's asking if you're going to be on BTC sessions. Why are we bullish Christmas special?
I would love to if I can make it. I usually go home like 23rd and get thrust into family Christmas festivities. If I have the time, I will do it if I'm invited. Yeah, I remember when Matt joined the Christmas special as Saylor, all drunk and hilarious.
That wasn't a Christmas special.
What was that?
We all remember it. It was when I correctly called Tina a bear. I might have been wrong about specific prices. I will own that one, but I was right that Tina was a bear. That wasn't the Christmas special. The Christmas special is funny. He gets a lot of people involved. I will not be participating this year, but huge shout out to Ben. He's awesome. I'm going to focus on family, and you're still going to get a rabbit hole recap that week. How much do you really need to hear from me? Like, we got our weekly dose.
Everybody's waiting for your takes on everything.
We have Pablo jumped into the Noster chat just in the nick of time, to have his project called out. One of his many projects called out. He fully MIT licensed FOST NSEC bunker on Noster, which is awesome to see. Shout out Pablo. Thank you, Pablo. And what's really cool there is to people that are not familiar with NSEC bunker, when you use Noster, you have a Noster private key. That's your NSEC. Someone has your private key, they can send posts as you. And so NSEC bunker keeps that private key on a device that you run at home, and then you remotely connect to it through Noster. Actually, the communications use Noster to access your Noster account. So you keep it off of your phone or whatever, or your computer or whatever device you're actually using to access Noster, and as a result, your Noster private key is more secure, and you're in a more secure situation. And one of the adoption cycles that is possible with something like NSEC bunker is that there are multiple competing entities that are hosting NSEC bunker hosted services. So a new user comes in and they're not comfortable with holding their own private keys, and they want to delegate that option out. Just like if they use TikTok or they use Twitter, right? They're delegating their access to this network to someone else who's holding custody. And so now that is possible because it's FOSS, right? Now it's possible for someone to take this code, modify it a little bit, ship it, or not even modify it, and monetize it and charge basically for hosted NSEC bunker service. So pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Pablo. MIT licenses are always good to see.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And in classic Pablo fashion, like he's tackling this problem from two sides, right? Because it's like, okay, like you want to protect your NSEC, and then if for some reason he gets compromised, he has his key rotation spec, so he can move to a new key. So, yeah.
I'll never forget when I don't know if you were on that episode. I think you might have been. It was beginning of 2022, middle of 2022. Pete Rizzo. It was around the Bitcoin takeover 2022. Pete Rizzo famously said he could feel the cold winds of a long bear market on the horizon.
Who said that?
Pete Rizzo. I can feel the tropical breeze of a rip roaring.
Well, I wasn't on that episode with you, but I was a consultant for Bitcoin Magazine, so I heard Rizzo say it many times.
Yes.
But there's many such cases for that, where it's relatively easy to directionally call a bottom or a top. The hard part is doing the opposite to actually accumulate enough sats, right?
Yeah.
So, like it's easy. You might call euphoria and say like, oh, there's a bull market and the top is in, but you're never going to end up buying at the low. And that's why, like, if you just stay humble and stack sats, you usually outperform most people. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying, like, obviously there's traders out there that will outperform you, but they are, 1%, 0.5% of global population. The overwhelming majority of people, just like low bell, left side of the IQ curve, just stay humble, stack sats, just slow and steady accumulation of Bitcoin. Don't get wrecked in the process. Don't overextend yourself. Like tastefully overextend yourself in a responsible manner.
Yeah.
With spot Bitcoin.
Don't mortgage your house and buy some Bitcoin.
Don't mortgage your house and buy some Bitcoin. You need a place to live. Look at Saylor, right? He still has 7 yachts.
Still has 7 yachts.
Not all in.
I don't have any chairs, and if we're being honest, I don't have sheets on this bed up here anymore.
You gotta be responsible and conservative, like Saylor, where you don't go all in on Bitcoin. You still have 7 yachts left over.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get back to Plan B's stock to flow chart. We're gonna overshoot it.
He was directionally correct. Bitcoin is designed to pump forever. Yeah. He was just empirically wrong on how that looks.
We'll see.
I mean, Bitcoin will go up, guys. When will Bitcoin go up? It will go up eventually.
Is the gold gap a sign of things to come in Bitcoin? Are we going to gap up to like 50K next week? Maybe. Gold
is a shitcoin, and anyone who tells you it's at a new all-time high is lying to you, because they should be pricing it in Bitcoin, and it's clearly not at a Bitcoin all-time high.
Let me see.
And that's coming from someone who named the title of this episode "Fresh Gold All-Time High."
That was your idea.
No, that was your idea, but I did it with you. We did it together.
We did it together.
I didn't even know it was an all-time high. I've just been living in my own little bubble over here.
Do you want to talk about what you did this week?
I got another dog. Dogs are good.
It's a beautiful dog.
Yeah, I got a fucking awesome puppy. 3rd dog in the pack.
How's
Number go up.
He,
yeah.
How's he doing with the 2 other pups?
He's doing great. He's doing good. He's a good fit. We got back yesterday. I had to drive to pick him up. I listened to a lot of podcasts. Marty, Tim Pool is also like we're gonna win. We're winning guy. He says it all the time. Do you listen to Tim Pool?
No.
So like Tim Pool is like a normie freedom winner. Like he's like a juggernaut. He's like what Peter McCormick wishes he is. Right? Like everyone compares Peter McCormick to Joe Rogan, but it's really Tim Pool, right? Like he has like daily shows. He's like has his own news site or some shit.
Peter doesn't have daily shows.
What? I mean, he's like releasing it almost every day. He's releasing an episode, right? I looked at the feed. I don't know. I don't listen to Tim Pool.
He does like a live show though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he has a live show every day.
Yeah.
Does that not count as a daily show? Like, what do you mean by that?
I think it's a different format, live show. You get audience interaction.
Yeah, but he also does like interviews. I don't know, but I feel like Tim Pool is like this like vaulted freedom normie, independent media guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super into the like the we're gonna win, we're winning, whatever. Dude,
Are you
like
trying to say I'm aligned with normies?
what?
Are you trying to say I'm aligned with normies? Is that what you're trying to get
No. It's an appealing narrative. That I'm not fully my point. I guess my point is like most of them are not going to win. They're completely. They're like they like come in day after day. They're like, look, this thing happened in politics. Like this thing happened. Like we're gonna win. You know, like the money's fucked up. Never says Bitcoin. Like they refuse to acknowledge that Bitcoin exists. I don't know.
When I say we're going to win, it means like the Bitcoiners are going to win.
I know what you mean when you say it. I also know what Tim means when Tim says it. It was interesting to me. You should listen to there's a disconnect there. There's like there's people that are like most Tim Pool listeners, I feel like are they're directionally on the right path.
All the freaks go out there right now and tweet at Tim Pool and let him know we're telling him he's wrong. He's missing something. And that we should come tell him what Bitcoin's all about.
Don't mention us. I don't need to be mentioned. I'm not trying to like grandstand here. Just tag Tim Pool on whatever your favorite social media app is, like TikTok or Twitter or whatever you use. Instagram.
The chat talks about Bitcoin a lot now.
Hit add Tim Pool and you're not gonna win. I don't think they're gonna win.
There's a freak saying that he talks about Bitcoin a lot.
I don't know. In one of the recent episodes, they were talking about it. There's like some independent movie agency that uses Bitcoin. They're like Bitcoiners. I don't know. It was interesting. I listened to all the Normie Freedom like podcasts. That was my last 5 days, basically. That's why I bring it up. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, Marty. It sounds like you have a call you need to go to. We're gonna win.
We're gonna win. It's been fun. It's been fun, freaks. We'll be back next week. Thursday next week.
Is it gonna be Thursday next week?
I hope so. I like Thursdays more.
Okay. We'll try. I like Thursdays more too. Stay humble, stack sets.